Hello crafters, welcome back for another video on my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, I'm sharing 2 birthday card ideas using Spellbinders Large Die of the Month for May 2019. The May die set is a fabulous one featuring a beautiful dimensional cake, some pretty florals that are good for any kind of card. In fact, I've been using mine for many other projects as well. And in the large die set, there are also awesome cake toppers. These are some of the cards that I've made for the Spellbinders YouTube channel and blog, and you can see how gorgeous this cake looks when cut out. There are 2 tiers to the cake, and you can use both together or just the top tier on its own. Here you can see the dimension that you get with the cake layers, and if you don't want this dimension, you can also make your card and your cake flat. The decorative inserts that come with this die set are separate, so that means that you can use them on their own, like I did on this card here, where I die-cut the inserts into the background panel and skipped adding the outline, making my card and my cake a flat one. Now, these inserts is actually what inspired my first card for today. I wanted to use just the insert die and create a full card background by repeatedly die-cutting this piece. It's not that hard to do, it just takes a little bit of time to do all of the die cutting. Here I tried cutting one panel and I messed it up about half the way. I made one cut upside down, so here I'm starting over. I've measured my die and also my paper and have figured out approximate die placement on the panel so that it would be somewhat centered. You can also always start with a larger sheet of paper and then trim it down once all of the die cutting is done to ensure that everything has been die-cut perfectly in the center. Now, the most important part here is obviously to remember which side of the design is up and always place it up on the paper to have a harmonious die-cut background on the card. To make it easier to align, I'm using my cutting mat with the grid lines and also a ruler, and I'm using both tools to space and align the die to cut 3 rows of this design onto my paper. So 3 rows, 3 cuts each, that is 9 cuts in total. So not totally bad. Here's what the finished die-cut piece looks like. It's very pretty, very wedding-like, I would say. This is definitely not something I would do if I wanted to die-cut wedding invitations, as I would probably lose my mind doing so much die-cutting. But for a one-off wedding card or birthday card, this is totally doable, especially considering that this is stretching the use of the die. I trimmed the background a tiny bit. I think it ended up being 5.5 by 4 inches tall. And next, using small foam adhesive squares, I foam mounted it onto a yellow card. My plan from here was to add a large hello die cut going across the card. And I ended up cutting it from various colors of cardstock to have a bit of a rainbow look on the card. I used Cool Pool, Summer Days, and Sweet Berry colors from Fun Stamper's Journey. Next, I stamped a birthday sentiment in black ink onto the Pool Cool cardstock, and this one comes from the Simon Says Stamp Birthday Palooza stamp set, and I trimmed it into skinny strips and later into cute banners to use on the card. I wanted the hello die cut to be a bit sturdier, so I adhered 3 hot pink die cuts together to make this more of a chipboard-like piece. And next, I added a yellow die cut. I offset the yellow die cut a little bit to have the pink show from underneath. And finally, I added the light blue die cut in the same way, offsetting it and revealing the yellow and pink under it. Having figured out the placement of all the elements on this card, I also die cut a bunch of flowers and leaves, and next I shaped them using a largest stylus tip and my tool-in-one, as well as the Spellbinders piercing mat. It's the cutting mat is just the other side of the cutting mat because the mat is double-sided. One side is for cutting and another one is this piercing side. Now, I used to never do this, and then one day I tried shaping my flowers like this with a stylus. I was like, wow, this is easy and the flowers look incredible. So much better than shaping them with your fingers. Next, of course, I adhered everything in place using glue, creating small flower clusters here and there. I also added the pennants across the letters H and L and added a bunch of tiny die-cut leaves as well. For the flower centers, I used Jewels by Pretty Pink Posh, but anything can be used for these. even Nuvo drops from Tonic. So this finished my card number 1, featuring a repeat die cut background using a single die. I love this look, and like I said, it wasn't that difficult to make. If you enjoy die cutting, I bet you'll enjoy creating a background like this. For my second card, I wanted to make a small cake. I was actually making a card for my cousin's birthday. She'll be turning 39 this year. So this set came in very handy since it not only has flowers and pennants, but also numbers to stick into the cake to dress it up. For the background of my card, I stamped birthday wall background from Fun Stamper's Journey in clear embossing ink on Pool Cool cardstock. And next, I heat embossed it in sparkle embossing powder from Hero Arts. We can also do clear embossing powder for a tone-on-tone look, but since it's a birthday card, why not add some sparkle? Now, I rarely use this sparkle embossing powder, but it is fabulous for birthday cards, and also I love to use it for snow and holiday cards. It glistens so beautifully. Next, I die cut a small cake tier from buttercream cardstock, and here I'm shaping it with my fingers to give it that curl before I adhere it onto the card. I decided to use red tape to adhere the cake, as I didn't want to have to hold the die cut down for several minutes if I were to use glue, and this tape does hold like crazy. It's been several days now since I've made the card, and the cake still stays put, and it doesn't look like it's going to unglue from the background, so it's a win. Having attached the cake layer, I proceeded to decorate it. Like I said, this die set comes with loads of decorating options. You can have the same die cut cake on, say, 10 different cards, but decorate each cake in a different way using different pieces from this die set, and have totally different cakes on each of the cards. I die cut 39 from gold glitter paper. I also die cut 2 candles, and by the way, even the candles have separate pieces so that you can have the wick of the candle in one color and the body of the candle in another color. How clever, right? Of course, I also decorated the cake with flowers to make it very feminine and beautiful. I trimmed the background embossed panel a little bit and adhered it onto an A2 white side-folding card base. Now, the die used for this card comes from the Spellbinders Large Die of the Month for the month of May 2019. It's a subscription program. If you join the club, you receive a new die set every month. The Large Die of the Month is $25, and that already includes US shipping. There's also a Small Die of the Month, Glimmer Kit of the Month, and other monthly clubs for a total of 6 different monthly club options. And you can join multiple clubs if you like. There are value clubs that let you subscribe to multiple clubs at once and save even more. There's a link to more information in my video description. When you join the club, you can cancel anytime. There's no monthly commitment, or you can skip if you don't like a design of a specific month. So for example, if you were to join in May, but then you didn't like June, you can totally skip it. I'm not sure, but I don't think there's a limit on how many months you can skip. I hope you'll give this idea a try. If you do, remember to share online and tag me on social media. I always like seeing what you guys are making. On the screen, there is a link to a playlist with all of my Spellbinders card tutorials. Subscribe now not to miss any new card making videos. Love you guys. I'll see you next week.